my beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about this new mini little NORVINA collection palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the Mini Pro Pigment Palette Volume 2. That's a lot of name for a very little palette. I just picked this one up during the Sephora VIB sale. It is priced at $29 US. I'm gonna give you a bunch of product details, I'm gonna show you swatches, and I'm also gonna show you a tutorial of me creating this eye look. I'm really proud of this because I feel like I really went out of my comfort zone. Green is not a color that I am very familiar with, I'm very comfortable with. I typically don't think that it looks particularly good on me, but I actually really like how this look turned out, so I'm very excited to tell you about this palette. Let's start with some product detail basics first. This little palette does have a very heavy-duty plastic packaging. It does have a very satisfying magnetic closure as well. I just really like that. The packaging is super cool. It definitely has some retro meets futuristic vibes, at least for me. I don't know if that makes sense, but I think this is really cool. I love that the color scheme on the outer packaging matches the color scheme that you find inside. We're definitely seeing these same colors from the packaging echoed into the shades inside here. I get kind of a tropical vibe from these shades, but they still make sense with this outer cover that is very not tropical. Before we look at the shades close up, I do want to point out that these shadows do not have shade names. They have numbers, just like all the NORVINA collection palettes. So they're named A1 through 3, B1 through 3, C1 through 3. I like shade names, so I'm kind of sad that these don't have shade names, but this is NORVINA's palette. She gets to name it however she wants. Notice that this is called an eyeshadow and pressed pigment palette. That is because 4 of these shades are not eye safe, and they are not marked anywhere on the palette. I really wish that the not eye safe or not intended for eye area shades were marked on the palette itself. They are only noted on the box. I just dislike that. I feel like most people don't keep their boxes around, so I wish they had made the not for eye area shades a little bit more apparent on here. Certain dyes and pigments can cause staining and sometimes irritation. Often these are red dyes or neon pigments. We are seeing both of those in here. My recommendation always with these types of eye safety warnings is to patch test them. Anything that's marked with a not intended for eye area or other eye safety warning, just swatch it on the inside of your arm. You have this nice delicate skin here that is at least somewhat similar to the more delicate skin around your eye area. Swatch that shadow right onto that inner arm and then let it sit for a while before you wipe it off. See if you experience any staining or any irritation. I have already swatched these shadows all over my arm. I've already done my finger and brush swatches and I have absolutely no staining, no irritation. I'm not one to be very sensitive to these types of pigments. But if you are, I definitely want to make a point of making you aware of that since they're not very clearly marked on the actual palette. When we take a look inside the palette, I'll point out the eye safety warning shades. I do want to mention there is a nice mirror in here. We have 9 eyeshadow shades. 7 of these are matte and then these 2 are shimmers, so this is a very matte palette. The shades that carry that eye safety warning are A3, so this lighter neon orange. B1, the brighter neon orange on the middle row here. C1, which is this matte, very bright pinky fuchsia type of shade. And then C2, which is the green shimmer. Those are the 4 shades in this palette that are marked with that eye safety warning. I know I've spent a long time talking about this, but I just want to make sure that I put that information out there. Be aware, do your patch testing, that way you can keep your eyes healthy and keep on enjoying your makeup. Let's go ahead and get into the swatches now. As always, I'm going to be showing you both finger and brush swatches of this palette. The swatches will be done on the inside of my arm with no primer down first, just the swatches straight onto my skin. The finger swatches will be on top and then the brush swatches will be below. I'll be using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush for all the brush swatches, and I'll clean the brush off in between each shade using my Veramona color switch. That way we don't have any transfer between shades. So let's take a look at those swatches now. Taking a look at the swatches now, just a reminder that the finger swatches are on top and the brush swatches are below. The first three shades do look a little bit pale with the brush swatch, but notice even so, they're still really nice and even. They don't look streaky. Everything is just very smooth and very opaque. Even in these neons, it's super impressive. Now that you've seen all the shades swatched, let's get into an eyeshadow tutorial. I'm going to show you how I created this green spotlight eye using this NORVINA mini palette, and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. I'm going to start off just like I always do, first priming my eyes with my favorite eye base. It's the MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. Then I'm going to set that primer using a little bit of the MAC Next to Nothing powder, just so that we have a nice smooth surface to work on with these really pigmented shades. First, I'm taking C3, and I took the teeny tiniest bit, barely touched into that shadow pan, and I just really slowly built that up, blending as I go along. There is lots of blending to be done with these super pigmented, really rich shadows, and I honestly have the teeny tiniest bit of product, and look how much it's showing up on my eye. Next, I'm going to start building that spotlight sort of structure. I'm taking this bright emerald green matte shade B3, and on a very small flat detail brush, again, slowly packing that into the areas where I want that color to come through, and then taking my time to blend out the edges. I want to make sure that my look is really rich and saturated, but I don't want to do too much at a time. You can't take it off. You can always add more, but you can't get rid of what you've already put down. So just taking my time with this. Next, I'm taking C2. This is that bright green shimmery shade, and using my finger, I'm tapping that into the space that was left blank on my lid and just blending outwards into the green matte shade so that we get a little bit of a smooth transition there. Then I went back in with C3, that was my original transition shade, and I put that along my lower lash line. I wanted a good balance on that lower lash line, and I also went back in and sort of deepened up the outer crease area and then really blended that up and out. When you're working with these really pigmented shades, you can't do too much blending, honestly. For my inner corner, I'm taking the shade B2 and just with my pinky finger applying that right to the inner corners of both eyes for a little shine. Then I curled my lashes, added some L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara, and that completes my look. This would look great with some winged liner and some false lashes if you wanted to do something a little bit more dramatic. This palette can definitely take that. That's just not my style. This is the way that I like to wear the palette, and I think it's still really impactful, bright, fun, and playful, but I still feel really comfortable with these colors and with this technique. This is just a really fun look. I love it. I have to say, I really enjoy this little palette. I feel so inspired by these shades. These are definitely very different shades for me. I'm not a big neon person. I'm not really into greens, and there are 3 greens in this palette. I will say I'm very glad that we do have these 2 neutral shades, this kind of brown gold duochrome in the center, and then this cool like offbeat brown shade. It's almost got a plummy tone to it, but it's definitely a matte brown. This palette really needs these 2 shades, at least in my opinion, to kind of help ground all these really bright shades. The color scheme is interesting, it's inspiring, it's really fun and funky, and because this palette is so small, it would be easy to pair this with a different, larger, more neutral palette if you felt like this was just a little bit too much color for one look for you. This is also very NORVINA. It's very fitting with her style, with her brand. I'm definitely not disappointed. When I first started playing with these shades and swatching them, I was a little bit nervous, particularly this top row feels a little bit chalky to the touch, but they don't perform that way. It's just the nature of these kind of light, bright, neon type of shades. They do tend to feel a little bit more dry, feel a little bit more chalky, but you saw from the swatches, they are absolutely really opaque. They stay very bright and true to color on the skin. For me, the real stars of the palette are the bottom two rows. Personally, that's just my taste. I really like a little bit more richness, a little bit more of a jewel tone to my eyeshadow shades. All in all, I love this palette. However, I would not recommend this to just anybody. I don't think that pressed pigments or the ABH formulas in general are very beginner friendly. These shadows are quite pigmented. They can be quite soft in that you get a lot of kick up in the pan, and they are highly, highly pigmented. When I first started laying down this shade as my crease shade, I was barely touching the shadow and just barely using any to build it up because these are very intense shadows, which means the swatches are impressive, the looks are impressive, but they are not for the faint of heart. If you're just getting into makeup, or if you don't feel very comfortable with your different brushes, different techniques, and manipulating shadows, then you probably won't love this palette. Now, I am no makeup artist. I am definitely not a trained professional. I'm just somebody that has used a lot of eyeshadow, so I've gotten more comfortable with different formulas, with the ABH formula. You don't have to be an expert to use this, but I just wouldn't really think this was particularly beginner friendly. As always, I love to hear what you guys think about things too, so leave your thoughts down in the comments. Are you interested in this palette? Is this something that you've had your eye on? Are you super proud of me for wearing green eyeshadow? Because you should be. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Why does the light look weird? Okay, let's do these. I knew I was gonna mess that up before I even started. I think I got in my own head. Okay. Okay. I hope I'm not too late on this palette, but I just got it, so I can't review it any more quickly than I get it. If you want to somehow get me on the ABH PR list, I will make my reviews more timely. Let me know if you can hook that up. Oh my gosh, people, that was just a joke. It's fine. Honestly. Completely unknown YouTuber canceled for joking about getting onto ABH PR list. Oh man. Of all the things. I don't know. It's just a tangent at this point. I'm sorry. It's fine. I think I'm gonna also film my haul video now. So maybe this will go up after that. I don't know. If that's already up, go watch that. Satisfying. Ow! Dang it. Okay. Sorry. Focus. Alright, I'm fine. It's good. I'm fine. NORVINA. What does this symbol mean? Okay, let me, I'm genuinely asking. So we know this means cruelty free. I think this means made from like post-consumer recyclable materials. I know this is the expiration. I know this is the ABH logo. What's that? What is that? Who is she? Or he? I don't know what their pronoun is. Or they. Who are they? Who is this being right here? I was totally not making fun of pronouns, by the way, anyway. I'm trying to be more conscious of how I address people, especially because I have a young child. I really want to make him aware of the different ways that you can be respectful towards people, and pronouns is a part of that. I'm genuinely on board with that, and yeah, I wasn't making fun of that. That was just my thought process out loud because I'm really trying to be more like aware of how I address people and trying to be respectful. Okay, wow, I almost got myself canceled twice in one video. I swear. I'm done. Bye.